It's day 2 now of the strike by TV and film writers demanding higher wages, and they are picketing outside some prominent studios across the country, including our parent company. That would be Paramount. The stakes are big, huge for the future of entertainment, and many shows have already been knocked off the air. Elise Preston has more now from Los Angeles.
What do we want?
Outside production studios across the country. Thousands of writers have stepped away from their keyboards to form picket lines.
Better pay, better residuals, larger writers' rooms.
Here in Los Angeles, WGA President Meredith Steam joined protesters outside of Netflix studios.
They need to fix the model that they've broken, and until they do, we're going to be here and we're going to be on strike.
Late night has taken the first hit. Daytime shows like CBS's The Talk have also gone dark, and it's the same story for soaps.
Let her die.
Among popular series, Showtime's hit Yellow Jackets, which is part of Paramount, has stopped working on its 3rd season. Meanwhile, HBO's House of the Dragon will continue production on season 2 since they tell Variety that scripting is already complete. Cynthia Littleton is the co-editor-in-chief of Variety and author of TV.
Scripting being already done means that there will be no rewrites and any kind of like dog shit. No, you're saying scab fucks? No, sometimes they do that, but that doesn't mean that it'll be good. Because usually what happens in a situation like this is it's an ongoing endeavor. So they're just going with the OG script without any fucking rewrites, without any other like changes made to it, which means it's going to be shit. That's what that means. HBO is saying, we'll put out shit without any punch-ups, any rewrites, any write-ups, or anything like that. And there's always a necessity for that sort of thing, even after you start shooting. So they're just saying that, like, we're going to go with that instead. And if you know anything about Game of Thrones, even when there's like minor changes in the writer's room or in the direction of the content, it can lead to some pretty damaging changes overall. It can have some pretty damning consequences.
On strike. She says a prolonged strike would mean writers lose their jobs as studios shift production to unscripted content.
The studios are going to lose a lot of money on having to scramble. They're going to have to shut down shows that they thought they were going to produce. There is going to be pain all around.
For CBS Mornings, Elise Preston, Los Angeles.
To all the writers out there, on behalf of CBS Mornings, we say thank you.
Nobody wants a strike. I don't think anybody wants a strike. But I also think that if a strike is what it takes to get the writers what they need, then I'm absolutely supportive of the strike in that way.
That was acclaimed showrunner Shonda Rhimes.
So for those asking serious questions, are the actors who are continuing to film these shows technically scabs? If not, how? So it's entirely dependent on what their personal contracts look like. So actors are also part of the Screen Actors Guild. So what the Screen Actors Guild could do is go to the Writers Guild and issue like a mass strike across the fucking entirety of the industry. And if they don't do that, then they have no way of nullifying their contracts, right? Sometimes they do this sort of thing where like it happens in other industries. Like, for example, when the staffers at schools were striking at UTLA, when staffers at schools were striking, the teachers striked alongside them. It was actually for staffer contracts, but the teachers are a much more powerful union, so they were the ones who actually striked on behalf of the staffers in order for the staffers to get better pay. That's it. So the the WGA, if the WGA goes on strike and I'm required to show up to work, should I refuse to cross the picket line? If you are contracted to work on a project that continues production while WGA is on strike, you are legally obligated to continue working by your personal service agreement and the no strike clause in our collective bargaining agreement. So, as you can see, unless SAG-AFTRA also decides to join the strike, alongside the WGA, then the people that are a part of SAG-AFTRA have to go to work. It's normal. It happens all the time, shit like that. They're called solidarity sympathy strikes, and they're illegal in the USA. A lot of types of strikes are illegal in the United States of America. And the problem is, so here's what I mean by this. The problem is this. If you are a SAG-AFTRA union worker, if you're an actor in the Screen Actors Guild, okay, and you don't go to work, you are liable for termination because you are violating your contract, okay? Unless the Screen Actors Guild decides that they will also strike alongside the Writers Guild, which is unlikely because they already have their contracts, okay? And oftentimes, you know, these are very hard-fought contracts by unions. They're not going to fucking they're not going to go out to bat after striking or doing contract bargaining or doing negotiations and like ratifying this contract, all this shit. They are not going to not make do on their own side of the bargain. It's not a we got ours type situation. It's more so that like if their contracts are up, for example, if the SAG-AFTRA contracts expire on June 30th, they have the opportunity to join, from what I understand. If you're contracted to work on a project, you're obligated to continue working by your personal service agreement and the no strike clause in our collective bargaining agreements. You can continue to audition for work if you choose to do so. Like most unions, SAG-AFTRA has a no strike clause in our codified basic agreements at Section 3 that states the union that agrees during the effective term hereof, it will not call or engage in a strike affecting motion picture production against any producer signatory hereto. Should the WGA go on strike, SAG-AFTRA encourages you to walk any picket lines that have been set up by the WGA to show your solidarity. To avoid the risk of termination or lawsuits from employers, this should be done off the clock and not during work time. It is acceptable and encouraged to do so during lunch breaks, etc. You can also show support on social media. We will provide updates if a strike is called, and we'll update our membership with picket line locations. Can I take Writers Guild writing work if the WGA is on strike? No. Do you understand? So, like, if you're a part of both guilds, and one guild is going on strike, and you have a contract with the other guild that dictates that you have to go to work, you still go to work. But dude, are kids off school? Like, what's going on? Did you get out of school, little man? Did you get lost? I'm not gonna ban this guy. I'm not gonna ban this kid. Women should vote, dude. I'm telling your mommy, you're so fucked. Your iPad is getting taken away from you, kiddo. The unions help striking members who lost pay during the strike. Yes and no. There are strike funds, but you know, it's dependent on the union and what kind of contracts they have, but they don't, like, you know, if you have like a $5 million writer's contract or some shit, like the union doesn't, I don't think the union covers that. You get like some level of money. It's usually not a lot. But that's precisely the reason why a lot of like people, for example, like Conan O'Brien, literally paid out of pocket for their writers to continue their strikes, which was really awesome to do. And it almost makes me forget his actions in Palestine for like a brief moment. And then I'm reminded of it. And then I hate it all over again. But like, as far as late night talk show host goes, Conan O'Brien is a cut above. Every single one of them is like, why are you pushing for a union? No, it's not. This motherfucker replied to himself. Brother, you're right. Why am I pushing for a union? That's so weird. How does one find themselves in a community like this and they're like confused? I mean, that's pretty cool, I guess. To just like find yourself in a community like this and ask a question as silly as like, Hasan, it seems like you're teetering on the edge of like what I would consider to be pro union, and I don't really understand why. The juicer. Conan paid a thing without union, so it's overrated. Union achieved nothing. Brother, they got minimum basic agreements. Like, what are you talking about? XQC offline, weird flex, bud, but the kid consent to send to it, though. They could try it on pig. Yep, suck it just to float. First of all, Conan is a part of the union himself. And I don't really know what you're talking about. If one more motherfucker asks me about Conan Palestine, bro, I'm not Google, okay? Go Google it on your own time. I don't want to watch it right now. That's an entirely separate conversation, okay? Some of you guys are so fucking annoying. Just literally Google it yourself, okay? It's so simple. Just write Conan Israel, Conan O'Brien Israel, and then watch the video on your own time. I don't want to fucking do that. Juicers are so funny. I love offline juicers. When they come into here, I just understand, like, I'm always confused as to how like XQC doesn't fucking ban them so regularly. I don't know how the fuck he's allowed. Like, I don't know how he not allowed, but I don't know how he manages his chat. If you're a member of both unions employed under both capacities as a production, such as writer actor, you must continue working as an actor. For your writing services, you should contact the WGA for information and guidance pursuant to strike rules. If the WGA goes on strike, when does SAG-AFTRA start negotiations? SAG-AFTRA is currently scheduled to begin the codified basic agreement and television agreement with the AMTV on June 7th, 2023. If a WGA strike is called before that date, we will inform members of any change within the timing of our negotiations. SAG-AFTRA will do everything in our power to reach an agreement with the AMPTP, and we regard a strike as a last resort. I mean, that's normal. That's like everyone considers that to be a last resort. Because strikes also... Directors Guild contract negotiations set to begin May 10th. Oh, my Lord, dude. Oh, sheesh. Yeah, strikes are expensive. They're hard. What? Oh, you still want this little guy around? Hear about the pedo Jew family on TikTok. Pretty typical. Yeah, never mind. Okay. No, we will ban that kid, I think. Yeah. Listen, sometimes they're funny and they're little kids, so they say some dumb shit. And then other times they're like virulently anti-Semitic weirdos, so we ban them. You know, it is what it is. I do think that parents are responsible for their children behaving this way online, though. I snuck on the Jeffrey Epstein's island from banning AI to better pay. Oh, here are the stakes.
Speaking on the writer's strike, we'll have more of her interview with our Lindsay Davis later this week at 12:01 a.m. Pacific time. The strike went into effect for thousands of movie and television writers. Talks for a new contract broke down.
So funny to me when some of my pro-Israel relatives say you're anti-Semitic, like you literally clap every anti-Semite on site. This shit is not tolerated here in the slightest. Oh yeah, absolutely not. It is funny though. I mean, yeah, I am extremely critical of the nation state of Israel, which is an apartheid state. So I am of Saudi Arabia as well. I haven't heard motherfuckers say I'm Islamophobic yet though, which would be funny, funnier.
With writers demanding studios make changes to payments based on the major shifts caused by streaming. The last time the Writers Guild of America authorized a strike was 15 years ago, forcing a shift in programming for 3 months. ABC's Kana Whitworth explores the past and what we could see in the future this time around.
How much money do you need?
It was a historic moment in entertainment history.
I was just watching Conan O'Brien just fill time as all his writers went on strike.
We are back now, but sadly, we do not have our writers with us. I want to make this clear. I support their cause.
The 2007 writers' strike, with an estimated economic impact of over $2 billion, caused late-night shows to go dark. TV shows like Breaking Bad ground to a halt.
In 2007, when the pipeline of episodes finally ran dry, networks really had to get creative, put on more news magazines. There were a lot of game shows. There were a lot of reruns.
CBS experimented with airing reruns of premium channel Showtime's hit show Dexter.
They even went so far as to bring a special wintertime edition of Big Brother.
What one of them doesn't know is that there's an unexpected wrinkle awaiting her.
Hollywood has shut down again over a strikingly similar issue, making a livable wage in the age of streaming.
I support my writers, but we have a lot of staff and crew that will be affected by this, but they got to get a fair deal.
A lot of times people are living paycheck to paycheck, writers and actors, some directors. You only get money when you're working.
More than 15 years later, similar scenes of thousands walking off the job from LA to New York to Georgia as the 3-year contract between the Writers Guild of America and major studios.
Bro, I'm telling you, man, when you got fucking, like, basically the closest thing you can get to a capitalist robot, Jimmy Fallon speaking about the solidarity for the striking workers, it's over. You know what I mean? It's Jover, man.
Expires. A new generation of writers fed up, saying the system is broken.
So many of us are barely making a living. We are barely making our groceries, our rent.
WGA union member Alex O'Keefe is a 28-year-old just a few years into the business, but already doing big things in Hollywood.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. This photo perfectly represents someone who's a writer in Hollywood. There is no better representation of like someone who's just like a regular ass writer in Hollywood. He's 28, 29 years old. He won an award and he put it on top of his fucking Toyota. His fucking busted ass Prius.
Nominated for 2 WGA awards last month as staff writer for Hulu's FX show, The Bear.
34 chickens, okay? 12 French fries, 12 mash.
But he says this smiling photo hid the true pain of reaching his dream to work in the writer's room.
So many of my friends, they're like, oh my God, so you're loaded now. They're like, you made it. I no longer had any money from The Bear. I barely got money in the first place. So I had to go to my friends and my family and say, I have to go accept this award. I can't accept it in a hoodie. I need some money to buy a suit.
And while he never had to go through the events of 2007, he's part of the more than 97% of writers who just weeks ago voted in favor of a strike, which could impact nearly 11,000 union members. 15 years ago, we didn't have those streaming giants like Netflix. Now members like Alex argue it's those companies who are making it nearly impossible to live a middle-class life.
They're going to count on our suffering breaking us and our suffering forcing us to take a bad deal. There's some things that maybe I'm saying that it could rub some powerful people the wrong way. But if we don't take a stand, we will never gain anything.
The union wants higher minimum pay per episode and increased guaranteed residuals, especially for episodes made for the streaming giants.
A super successful show like Wednesday versus a show on the same platform that's not so successful, the residual is actually the same. In addition, series have gotten dramatically shorter, and that means there's less work. Writers are hired by the series, but they're paid by the episode. So when you've got more people sharing a pie that in some ways is smaller, that is part of what's created the issue today.
The union is also seeking a limit on the use of AI, like ChatGPT, to generate scripts in seconds. Union members also take issue with what's being called mini room as a way to cheapen creating a show.
They'll have 2 or 3 writers work with the showrunner to develop a first script, but they'll also try to write, 2, 3, maybe even 4 more scripts. If the show is ordered and it's 6 episodes, they may not be hired to work on the show anymore because the showrunner already has a ton of material.
The Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers telling ABC News in part, our goal is and continues to be to reach a fair and reasonable agreement, adding an agreement is only possible if the Guild is committed to turning its focus to serious bargaining by engaging in full discussions of the issues with the companies and searching for reasonable compromises.
Yeah, their reasonable compromise was like doing an educational seminar. I mean, it's crazy, dude. Their compromises were like, yeah, fuck off, but also here we'll do like a webinar for you.
And there's potential.
Is a guild equals union? No, a guild is when when a bunch of thieves get together and they steal stuff, and then you go to your guild master, and your guild master is like a tiger style race. I forget what they're called, and then your guild master's like, here, you need to get the Shadow of Pericles blade, and then yeah, a Khajiit, yeah, exactly, and then if you have like enough stealth, you get to steal the blade of Pericles, and then you come back, and ultimately you kill everyone in the guild, but if you choose to do so, you can do that if you want to. But it's pretty crazy stuff, yeah. Jeet has wares if you have the coin.
A drawn-out process could actually help the studios get out of pricey contracts with writers.
Certain writers have multi-million...
Wow, spoiling a 12-year-old game released 8 times, shaking my fucking head. To be fair, it's probably going to get re-released again next year, I assume, which means that I am spoiling a new game, technically, a game that hasn't even been out yet.
Multi-$100-million deals.
Wait, I actually want to know the answer. Yes, man. Yes, it's just like a fucking union by a different name. It's a union. Yes, the writers' union.
Studios and streamers. So the writers' strike would trigger these force majeure provisions if it lasted 6 or 8 weeks. And you'd see the studios smiling at Wall Street and saying, look, we're saving money. We're shedding some of these deals.
And if this does, in fact, drag out, with the streaming giants releasing new shows all the time, will people even notice?
We've definitely seen in Hollywood there's been stockpiling to help get them through a potential drought of new episodes.
While Alex prepares to look for new work outside of writing, he says this ordeal is worth it, recalling how the WGA union's health insurance came to his aid when right before that award show, he chipped his tooth.
I flashed this huge smile. Looking out, it was all my peers, and I thought I really wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have this smile without the Guild. This union has my back. That's why I have this union's back.
Our thanks to Kana Whitworth.
That was a nice little story. Russia claims Ukraine targeted Putin in an attempted drone strike, but I'm not gonna fuck